So we finally made it to our last session talking about profitability.
Yes, because profitability is the bottom line, and everything that we've talked about and we're going to talk about all adds up to your profitability. And isn't that what we're in business for? I mean, there's some people that had a passion and started it, working in a shop and whatnot, and then they moved over to owning a shop because they still had the passion, but hopefully they're making a profit. And that's why we're talking about all this.
Absolutely. And, we've talked about quite a few things when it's looking at and evaluating your profitability for 2019. We started with talking about scheduling appointments, so knowing what you have coming down your pipeline and really managing your time within your shop. We talked about focusing on labor rather than parts because that profitability margin is much higher with the labor, using all of your technicians and mechanics.
And they have more control over labor too, because that's their product that they're selling. So.
And then finally, to kind of go with labor, is adding in that digital vehicle inspection to make it a routine service that not only you're selling to your customers, but that it's going to allow you to identify some upsell services as well.
And continue down the line as we've talked about, because that inspection today is going to affect every other inspection and every other visit for that customer from this point on.
Absolutely. So now these are all potentially new things that you might be doing, but we're going to actually take a step back, and now it's time to really evaluate what some of the costs that are coming in and out of your business any given day. And there's a lot of different things to look at. Like you said, a lot of people are just so used to paying things, it's routine, that they never stop to check if it's actually helping them or not.
Well, that's so true, Shana, because what's happening is a lot of companies are sneaking in little surcharges and naming these things. So it's amazing. Some of them have gotten caught. And I can't think of a name or one or two of them, but some of them have been caught. And there's been class action suits that if you were charged, they will give you some money back. But the point is, unfortunately, it's something that happens. You get charged, you get your normal bill, then there's all these add-ons, and you should question the add-ons.
Absolutely. So the first step, you actually have to evaluate what your costs are. If you don't have a breakdown of everything that your shop is spending money on any given month or any given year, then you're kind of shooting in the dark in understanding how much money you actually have to, put out to manage overhead and different things along those lines. So the first step is getting a list of all of the items that you're actually spending money on, looking at what you're paying for, checking those bills, seeing if they're aligned, but then also evaluating if it's worth the investment or not. There could be opportunities to simply cancel a bill if it's something that you're not even utilizing in your shop, or potentially look at other options that could be cheaper in the long run.
And that's kind of an interesting point, Shannon, canceling something you're not using. When we go into different businesses, we see other software that's in there, and we go, hey, doesn't look like you're using it. And the person goes, wow, we aren't. And then you ask how long they've been paying for it. It might be years. And they've been all this money out the door and they've never used it. So what do you have? Because a lot of offers come out, a lot of software. What do you have that you're not using?
Absolutely. And, I know you have some specific things when it comes to building and maintaining different things. And then I think we also need to look at marketing as well.
Yeah, marketing is really important. So you want me to jump ahead here?
Yeah, you go first, then we'll go into marketing.
The building is one of your biggest expenses. And if you're renting it, leasing it, or you own it outright, which would be the greatest thing in the world, you still need to look at the building and see what it's costing you per month. So a couple of simple things to consider. It's winter time. How do you heat the shop? Well, waste oil heaters, definitely worth looking into. If you think about this, it saves you in two ways. Number one, you don't have to pay to get rid of your oil. And two, that oil that you're getting for free because you're doing oil changes and selling more and doing digital inspections is going to heat your shop. And know what? If it doesn't heat your shop 100%, but you get 1 or 2 days out of it or a couple hours out of it, that's a savings.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the only thing I'm going to hint about those machines is, yes, you really need to change the filters and keep after them. But if you do maintenance, they're going to run really well and basically give you free heat.
Absolutely. That really sounds like it's coming full circle there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's eliminating another number of problems for you. And talking about, comfort in the summertime, how do you cool your shop? I mean, if you're air conditioning, which is starting to become more and more common, You really want to make sure your building's locked up so that you don't have all that cold going out and heat coming in. But also do simple things like ceiling fans. And this is even better in the winter and in the summer, because the heat goes up in the wintertime. If you have the fan set to bring it down, it's going to make people feel more comfortable. And in the winter, in the summertime, you turn those buggers on to get that heat out of there, and it makes a big difference across the shop, especially some of those really large fans that are sold out there. And one last thing I'm going to cover, and I guess you'll do some marketing, is your lighting. LEDs use 1/10 of the power of a normal incandescent bulb. Now, you may probably have fluorescent lights and whatnot, so it's not going to be that much of a difference. Well, I'm sorry. Not as sometimes the mouth don't work, the brain lets go. But the point I'm trying to make is fluorescents are a bit more efficient than an incandescent, so there's still a fair amount of savings. And LEDs, not only are they going to save you money on the bill, but they're going to be a lot brighter, and you get them in the light that makes the most brightness and makes people have an easier time seeing things.
Sure.
Yes, it's going to be a little bit of an investment up front, but the bottom line is, in the long run, because they last a long time, they're going to pay for themselves and more.
Absolutely. And now marketing, that's my favorite topic.
That's why I gave it to you.
And we know we're not telling you to stop marketing to new customers. That is not what we're saying at all. But it is important to put more emphasis on the current customers you have. We've talked about this time and time again in multiple live streams and some of the blogs that we've talked about. Your new customers are much, much more expensive than keeping your current customers. And if you're focusing all of your attention on just driving new customers in, but then they're leaving after just one visit, you're wasting money. So really look and evaluate that marketing budget that you have. How much of it is really being complemented in the shop with your conversations and your follow-up and just the overall experience? And if that's not set, focus more of your attention and more on your budget with keeping those customers, making their experience better, following up in conversations, than trying to drive new traffic in.
Again, another great point, because remember, that new customer, you only have a 5 to 20% selling to them, and it costs them 5 times more to get them in the door. We've said that before. We're going to say it again, and maybe it'll soak in. But also, one last thing about the marketing side. Remember, reminding your customers about their next visit is marketing.
Right.
And sometimes they just don't come back because they forget, then they panic and go somewhere else. So keep that in mind. And you're absolutely right. Focus on those people and get them back.
Absolutely. So just as a recap, this finalizes our 4-part series on how to increase your profitability in 2019. First, we talked about scheduling appointments in advance. Then we talked about focusing on labor cost rather than parts cost. And then we talked about utilizing digital inspections not only to add a new service, a new routine service to all of your customers that come in, but identify upsell opportunities and build out that history for the future. And finally, evaluate these expenses that you might not be paying attention to and see where you can cut some cost or really optimize the budget that you are using.
I'll just share one other thing. When you're checking over those bills, go back, because sometimes some of your suppliers will raise the prices on you very gently so you don't see it. And you might wind up realizing, holy cow, look at the difference.
Absolutely.
Just looking is going to save you some money.
So JB, do you think everyone's going to feel auto-motivated after this?
If I could say auto-motivated, I do. Because we're auto-motivated, we want you to be auto-motivated.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
So long.